Welcome back to a professional match of StarCraft 2. Now what I've got for you today is a Terran versus Zerg, where we find ourselves on the map Lightshade. Spawning here in the top left-hand corner and playing with the blue Terran SCVs from South Korea, we have one of the most successful Terran players of all time, and his name is ByuN. His opponent in the opposite corner, playing with the red Zerg drones, likewise an old-school StarCraft 2 professional who's still looking ridiculously strong today. We're looking at DRG's main hatchery. Alrighty, so here we go. Good old Lightshade, a map that I've casted many games on over the course of the last, I don't know, like half year or so. So the next StarCraft 2 season is starting off on the 6th of April. So like, I don't know, like 2 weeks or so from now is when the new season in SC2 will begin. If you're watching this at the very least, shortly after this video goes live. We haven't heard anything from Blizzard, really, as far as StarCraft goes, in months. So, yeah. My hopes, however, are that there is going to be a new map pool available for the next season. Maybe even a small little balance update or something along those lines as well. The thing is, I feel like I've been casting games on the same maps for such a long time right now. This map pool has been around for much longer than the average map pool. And, I mean, the maps are good, don't get me wrong. Lightshade is definitely... yeah, a fun map to be casting games on. Very straightforward, nothing all too crazy. But I would like to, as a fan of StarCraft at the very least, I would like to see a little bit more variety once again as well. So, assuming those maps will be announced, and everyone's kind of assuming that they will do so. I mean, the reason why we didn't have a new map pool with this current season of StarCraft 2 is because of the World Championships that was played a couple of weeks ago. So it makes sense that the next season will begin with the new map pool. Anyways, assuming that those maps will go live, I'll obviously make a dedicated video about that as well. So if you are not subscribed to the YouTube channel just yet, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you get notified as soon as that video would go live. I mean, there's a lot of hypotheticals here, huh? Either way, I post StarCraft content pretty much every single day of every single week. So, you know, you can still watch some other videos as well. Either way, let us have a look at exactly what ends up going down in this game. So, from what I've heard, this game has some ridiculous micro, especially from the man in blue. I mean, he always does that, right? But apparently this one is even head and shoulders above the rest. So, I haven't seen this game yet, but I'm excited to find out exactly what ends up going down. The thing is, ByuN is going up against DRG here, right? Well, I think a lot of people look at this matchup and they're like, oh my god, this has to be a ByuN favorite game. Maybe ever so slightly, but don't sleep on DRG. The guy is ridiculous. He's been around for a very long time. Super experienced player. And, yeah, I definitely think he has more than a fair shot right here against Mr. ByuN. It's going to be that quick expansion, of course, here from the Terran player. He's going to switch on over towards a reacted Hellion production here as well, it looks like, and then also a starport as a follow-up. DRG has decided to go for the third base right over here on the low ground. So I guess when maps are around for quite some time, we do see this sort of deviation. In the past, when this map was first played quite a lot, we saw this base being taken as the third, and then usually the fourth base all the way up here. That works just fine, but it seems that as the game progresses, right? Say, for example, as the Zerg player here, you would expand vertically like that. It can be quite tricky to actually secure the bases at the bottom section of the map. So what we see quite a bit right now is that Zerg players instead decide to go for the third base over here, and usually the fourth base over at the 6 o'clock position, and then they take the expansions on the right side of the map later. And the advantage of that is that it's still like rather tucked away from the Terran, so it's quite easy to mine those out, and it seems a little bit more straightforward. Plus, obviously, if you're spreading creep from this location in the map, you're going to be able to cover all of this relatively easily. On the downside, though, for the Zerg at the very least, it's an advantage for the Terran. This ramp over here is very dangerous. So we see siege tanks, for example, on this high ground over here all the time. Widow mines, right, trying to bait the Zerg player to move up towards the high ground. This is theoretically a little bit more difficult to defend because it is so wide open. But assuming the creep spread is good, it should definitely be something that DRG can play with. Alrighty, so the Hellions apparently are mostly going to stay home for now. Apparently this is ByuN maybe being a little bit concerned about a big Zergling run by. He's decided to go for the cloaking field upgrade as well on those Banshees. So first Banshee over here gets spotted by a patrolling Zergling too. What ByuN is trying to get done at this point in the game is just try and slow down the Zerg in whatever way he can. Preferably by killing a lot of workers, alternatively by killing a bunch of creep tumors or by forcing out a lot of units. Anything basically to secure a stronger mid-game for himself. So these early game moves from the Terran player are basically always done to try and make sure that follow-up pushes are going to be a little bit better. Now here come the Hellions. Cloak is done. Second Banshee is about to pop out too. Now, I really like this Spore Crawler position, actually. Here come the Hellbats too. He did get an armory on the back of this. Let's see how good is going to be the spread right here on these Queens. Will he negate some of the splash damage? He will. At the same time, though, the Banshee over here is working inside of the mineral line, right? And it's getting a couple of kills here and there. Reinforcing units should be able to pick all of this off, but 5 workers? Yeah, a couple Queens. Maybe even a 6th one? I mean, second Banshee is out there somewhere as well. Okay, that one's still flying on over. Good defense there by DRG, all things considered, but yeah, you can see right there that the trade is definitely not awful here for our Terran player whatsoever. The thing is, obviously, Hellions and Hellbats and Banshees, I mean, they're helpful to have in the mid-game as well. Did this pay for itself? It's a bit of a stretch, probably just barely not. This is also the reason why Hellbat pushes in general are not super popular, it seems, because like DRG wasn't really prepared for it, and he still defended it just fine, right? Like, he saw the lack of a third command center, and he saw the depots here at the front, indicating that it is going to be a classical 1-1-1. And just Queens and Lings alone will be able to deal with this kind of aggression from a Terran player just fine. So, yeah, like we see, I guess, a theoretical, you know, advantage here for Terran, but the problem right now for the Terran player is that Zerg is going to be able to grab that 4th base. They're going to be able to expand the creep really nicely towards that center part that I was talking about, and I do think that the DRG is in a fine position. Okay. So, additional barracks have been put down as well, so that makes 5 barracks in total right now. 1-1 is coming up here as well for the Terran player. Obviously, you always need that armory a little while later on to go into 2-2. Okay. Okay, I thought for a second ByuN actually was taking the 3rd over there, but no, he is gonna just apparently fly it over that pillar for a little bit so the Marines get high ground vision to kill the OV. But he is gonna be able to go and send that command center here towards the low ground pretty soon. Now, this is always a bit of a dicey situation for the Terran though, right? Because when you look at this army, yeah, sure, he's got a couple Marines defending at home. Sure, the Banshees are here right now as well, but the majority of the Terran army is currently out onto the map. This is, as a Terran player, where you have to be very careful about where you're actually spending most of your attention, because Zergling run-bys... gotta be careful. Okay. Zergling run-bys can become an absolute disaster. Wouldn't mind always a gamble for Terran, right? Sometimes they can just deal a lot of damage. Overseer will be able to stay alive, but sometimes they can accidentally deal a lot of damage to your own army as well. Nice control there by ByuN, though, all things considered. Okay. Now with this wall being set up, this 3rd base is going to be nicely defended. At the very least from Banelings trying to move on over from that direction. Speaking of which, Baneling speed is just about to finish as well, so that's going to be an important upgrade for DRG, as he's going to be able to connect with those Marines much easier, but he can also get into the mineral line of his opponent much quicker too. Now once again, yeah. Ooh. Banelings. They're going to be able to force this Terran army back. Beautiful control there by DRG. Does not really drop a beat. Nicely done. Alrighty. So, he's got himself +2/+2 coming up right away. He's also got Burrow. I like this a lot. I feel like Burrow is one of the more underutilized upgrades in the game. So this Zergling over here, relatively arbitrary spot, but the thing is, Terran's not going to be scanning at this point, right? Over here in the center of the map. It's not a Baneling or anything, but at the very least it's going to spot incoming Terran units very early on. 2-2 though, started up right around the same time as the Zerg started 2-2. There's the Infestation Pit coming up as well, indicating to me that DRG wants to go towards a hive. That being said, I mean, I was talking about it earlier. While the Marines are occupied on the other side of the map, the Lings and the Banes can potentially get some work done over at the 3rd base. Banelings right now hunting for those SCVs, and they're going to be able to kill quite a few of them relatively easily. At the same time, the army over here looks like it gets pushed back too. Great control here by DRG, man. Look at the eco right now. DRG, 80 workers into the game. He's going into hive. He's going into his 5th base. He's going to finish up 2-2 in line with the Terran player. This is a Zerg game to a T. This is about as good as it comes right now for a Zerg. I mean, he's got good creep spread. He's got good upgrades. He's got good tech. He's got much better eco than the Terran player. This is a phenomenal position here for our South Korean Zerg. Okay, so there's the 4th command center. Probably will be planning on flying that one over towards the location at the 12 o'clock. Alright, so DRG definitely is doing a good job so far. ByuN needs to get some work done. I mean, he's been trying. It's not for a lack of trying, but so far it feels to me like he's getting outplayed a little. This Banshee, though, did get a lot of kills. I haven't really been following the Banshees that much, but... I mean, the thing is, killing Zerglings and stuff is fine and all, right? But... I did kill quite a few, I guess. Yeah, not too many though. Okay, once again. The thing is, right, like that once again was a trader mine. The thing is, trading banelings for widow mines is something that a Zerg player will do every day of the week. Even though it might not necessarily be an efficient trade, like resource-wise, it's going to be so much easier to deal with those Marines and Medivacs when you don't have to concern yourself with the splash damage. Once again, though, big army here from the Zerg is moving through the center of the map. I love this Burrowed Zergling, dude. That Burrowed Zergling is fantastic. Now, this is what ByuN is known for, right? So, I would say ByuN's mid-game is probably the scariest in all of StarCraft. He's very, very good when it comes to microing those units and controlling the pacing of the game. So, he seems to care for his Marines when they're out into the map with Medivacs and all that a lot more than most of the top-level Terran players do. 4th Command Center instead, though, is going to be floating on over towards that location. Units will be picked up and evacuated inside of the Medivac. Is there enough Zerg right now to overwhelm this? It looks like yes, there will be, as ByuN picks up even more. This peaky, or this pesky little Zergling over here, though, delaying that base. Ooh, well, I just whisked a Widow Mine, apparently getting 16 kills there. That's quite a lot of dead Zerglings, but that's fine, right? Income-wise, I mean, we're now at 88 drones. Zerg is gonna be able to go into an Ultralisk Cavern. He's gonna go into 3-3 upgrades. He's gonna go into the Adrenal Glands upgrade. He's gonna go into Vipers. This is going DRG's way in pretty much every single, in pretty much every single way that he can. I mean, this is fantastic for him so far. Wow. Mike the Marauder! Oh! Sorry, Mike. This is gonna tell the story about how you have, a story to tell around the campfire when you're old and gray, but apparently you didn't make it that far. Okay, good control here once again by DRG, man. Can he blow up a couple of those units as well? Not quite gonna happen. Terran reinforcements will be coming in from the back. Okay, this Widow Mine over here has been quite nice, huh? So once more, though, these are trades that Zerg will make any day of the week because they are so far ahead economically, right? Even though this is theoretically maybe a bit of a dangerous move out because you just spent thousands of resources into upgrades and structures that aren't really helpful yet. Ooh, one Baneling over here. Hello, can you go? Mr. Baneling, go. Aw, yeah, there we go. that Zergling, man, look at him. What a legend. He burrowed again. Anyways, yeah, this is fantastic right now for DRG. Don't get me wrong, supply-wise, ByuN is still looking pretty good, and obviously he's been known to pull rabbits out of hats. But the eco here, the longevity in this Terran army just isn't really there. Now, he did secure the 4th. Planetary Fortress obviously is really good, but Blinding Cloud can still shut that down. Look at the creep spread here as well. Maybe not as far as we would ideally like it to see, but or would like it to be rather. It's it's still really, really nice right now for our Zerg. Good pushback over here. There's a big Terran army moving at the bottom section of the map as well. I would love to see a burrowed Zergling here, actually. You know, in the next likely locations of the Terran. Once again, though, as the big Terran army is moving out, apparently he's going to defend this time around at home with Lings, Banes, and Vipers. There's a lot of Banelings rolling into the 3rd base mineral line. And this 3rd base has been an absolute disaster here for the Terran player for such a long time. He just hasn't been able to really mine from this one effectively at all. And he's now lost 50 SCVs in the grand scheme of things. Ultras here as a follow-up. Spire as a follow-up as well. I mean, this is the Zerg dream. This is exactly what you want. Parasitic Bomb now being utilized as well by the Viper. It's an AoE spell that deals damage to air units. Okay, good splits here by ByuN, keeping some of those Medivacs alive, but it makes it much harder to control against those Lings and Banes. Now, he's actually microing all of that really, really smoothly, though. Impressive stuff. But obviously, there's no transition here ready to go anytime soon yet for example, Ghosts, or for example, Liberators, or for example, you know, units that will be good against Ultralisks. Marauders can be pretty good against Ultras, but those Ultras are going to have a pretty nice time, I think. They already have their full upgrades. They're going to be at 3-3. They're going to be at chitinous plating. They have their speed upgrade as well to go off creep a little bit faster. I mean, at this point, don't you just rinse and repeat if you're DRG? He doesn't have much of a bank, actually. So this is actually something that we see all the time by ByuN. Once again, beautiful splits there. If you look at the resources lost. Yeah, look at this. This is something that happens in ByuN games more so than in any other Terran. Look at the resources lost here. Even though this has felt like a game where DRG has been ahead the entire time, he has lost way more money here than our Terran player has. Problem is, though, that securing a 5th base is going to be quite hard, I think, for the Terran. I mean, DRG can deny it quite easily if he wants to. He's going to go into the Pathogen Glance upgrade as well, which is the Infestor Energy improvement. Once again, Lynx and Banes going in for a counterattack, but that will also be defended. Terran, though, is also going to be forced to defend over here. Okay, he's doing a wonderful job with exactly that. And he will once again hold position. At the same time, there's a medevac unloading a couple of medivacs at the top right-hand corner of the map. Zergling's here to meet it. Yeah, ByuN continues dropping down the units. And these are small traits that are once again very favorable for the Terran. Okay, this expansion up here is going to be difficult to mine because it's so close to the Terran's bases. But I mean, Infestors are coming up right now. They're going to have the energy upgrade. They're going to have energy fungal right away. Fungal growth against this Terran army, together with Parasitic Bomb against the Medivacs, Blinding Clouds and everything. Ultraling Bane, Queens with Transfuses. I don't really know exactly what you do if you're a Terran here. I mean, he's still playing Marine Marauder Medivac Mine. Good composition in the mid-game. Okay, well, I mean, those Widow Mines are pretty nice. Those Widow Mines are not bad at all. Fungal, maybe? Okay, he's looking for it. Gotta be careful, though. So, the Spire is already here just in case of... what are they called? Liberators coming out as well. Okay, once more. Okay, here comes the fungal growth. It's going to try and slow down that Terran army ever so slightly. Ultras once more forced to back off as the Marines and Marauders deal quite a lot of damage. And I do feel that even though this base seemed like it was defended quite nicely there by our Zerg, it is going to be picked off. Good split once again here by ByuN. So the base at the 12 o'clock position will now be acquired. This is actually like such an important base. A lot of the times what we see for Terran players is that they get stuck on 4 bases, right? Usually on most maps, securing 4 bases is very doable. Securing 5, however, can be hard. DRG probably wants to start thinking about taking one of the bases down below and go after the Planetary Fortress instead. Fighting this Terran army against ByuN off creep seems like a disaster. I mean, he's gonna try, apparently. I really feel like he should just give up this position and go for the base at the 4. Or the 4th base, rather. Okay, once again, Terran will be able to run here. Look at how little of the army is actually ever stepping on creep. Right? Look at how little creep there is here in general. Most of the Terran army is all the way in the back, and there's Widow Mines sprinkled all over the place to try and, yeah, get some additional splash damage done. Okay. Finally, some Lings and Ultras are moving down south. I like it. You don't have to commit with your entire army. There's going to be very little Terran available here anyway. Well, once again, the Stimpak button has been pressed. Parasitic Bombs all over the place. But look at the spread. Hold position micro here as well by our Terran player. Very dangerous against Banelings especially. Because then you're obviously intentionally going to be clumping up your units. Blinding Clouds. Parasitic Bombs. Actually, no, there was no Blinding Cloud there. It was just a fungal growth. Anyways, at the same time, we have the army. Ooh. Blowing up a ton of the SCVs at the 4th, and this is what I was talking about. DRG might not be taking very favorable traits, but he is getting himself that chokehold here on the Terran player, right? So at this point, ByuN is sitting at 38 SCVs. As a matter of fact, he's been very low on the SCV count for quite some time. He's only made about 100 of them, considering the amount of that he's lost, right? Like, this is really not that much. Okay, so now once again, I mean... we can say that Terran is on 4 bases, but realistically speaking, he's on 1 base. The Natural and the 3rd are running very low on money. The base on the left side, obviously, has just been destroyed by Ultras and Banes. Whereas DRG, I mean, he doesn't have a ton of income. I mean, he's actually broke right now, but he's near maxed out, and he's got himself 91 workers still harvesting resources. Base over here will be killed. Okay. Now he's running a little bit low, though. Yeah, look at this. Even though he's got a lot of workers, he doesn't really have a lot of places to send them to mine anymore. These bases are good, but hard to acquire if the creep threat is not in that area. So that's why I guess he keeps hammering on this expansion instead. So even though Terran has got far less workers here than the Zerg, it means that there's more supply here for army, right? So you can see the army supply over here as well, 124 to 104. Hey, you know what? This is still playable for ByuN. I felt like this game was over, but... okay. I mean, this is still a phenomenal position for the Zerg to be in, though. Once again, though, those splits are insane, man. Oh! Oh, once again, the Widow Mines. They get a whole lot of damage done. Okay, that's a good fungal. That's going to allow him, at the very least, DRG, that is, to pick off a couple of those units. One of the Ultras, once again, running very low. These Widow Mines are getting insane value. You know what? DRG is broke. He's got a ton of money. Or a ton of harvests, rather, so he can theoretically harvest a lot of money, but he doesn't really have that much income right now. Cheeky little orbital float on over. It's the old main base towards the left side of the map, but good control here by DRG. He doesn't really know if that army is already there, but he's gonna find out as it arrives. This is quite important for him to know that there is a new base acquired right now, because those mules can mine it out very quickly. Okay. Zerk, once again, though, now realizing that most of the Terran army now is on the left side of the map. Terran can maybe... Oh, Fungal? Yeah, okay, Fungal does come down, but doesn't really hit too many units. Ultra is still available as well. Another good Fungal growth will slow down that army, but look at the spread here, man. How in the world does ByuN run up the ramp in a concave? How is that even possible? Insane control here. Whenever Zerk is fighting off creep against ByuN, it just goes horribly wrong. Once more, though, links were split off from the rest of the pack, and this is a fantastic move by DRG. He's going to be able to kill even more SCVs, now reducing the total to only 33. I also, once again, want to compliment his effectiveness of Burrow, right? Forcing the scan here, that's 300-something minerals down the drain, right? That's a mule that could have been. Very nice. Anyways, 35 SCVs versus 88 drones. I feel like we've had a Zerg player with double the income for quite some time here. And somehow, some way, ByuN is still in this. And the reason why... Oh my god, the reason why it's somehow, some way is because of the man's ridiculous micro. Look at that. Okay. It's a planetary, though. That's an expensive base to kill. Obviously, a blinding cloud can help out, but Vipers are rather slow, so it's going to take some time before they will be able to get on over here. Once more, a bunch of SCVs end up getting killed. Planetary gets shot down as well. 25 SCVs and a dream. Well, the dream is to get a good trade right now against the Zerg army, and he's been doing that wonderfully in the entirety of the mid-game, splitting the units as the fungal growth hits. This base is never gonna mine, my man, and I feel like DRG is starting to run out of options. This is starting to feel very desperate. Yeah, he's got a ton of drones, but he has nowhere to actually mine with them. Once again, that base, no cancel. Oh my god. Wait, can we... Hold up. Can I go back into the replay for just a little bit? I want to see when Terran... I want to go back to the point where Terran started falling behind economically. So, this is the moment right here at the 8-minute mark where DRG kills a whole lot of SCVs. So let me get this straight. Between 9 minutes until the end of the game, so 9 minutes and like what, 22 minutes or so? Terran was behind economically. And the only reason why he stayed in this game as well as he did, and the reason why he ended up winning here eventually, is just because of those ridiculously efficient trades that ByuN keeps making. What a legend. This is... If you're a casual viewer, right? I know there's going to be a couple Zerg players watching this that get very salty from these kind of matches, right? But if you're a Terran player, you know how difficult it is to actually get trades like that. It is so easy to accidentally lose like 20 Marines to like 3 Banelings because you're not paying attention to them. You have to be so quick, you have to be splitting your attention between so many different places. Yeah, there's not really a single moment here where ByuN was actually capable of mining a good amount of resources. Look at that. Between like 13 and like 20-something minutes, ByuN is almost at half the worker count as his opponent. Now, obviously, mules are good, but just mules alone are not gonna cut it. Insane. Anyways, I hope that you enjoyed watching today's video. If you did, do me a favor and take the 1 second that it takes to hit the like button down below. If you didn't like it, feel free to hit the dislike button guilt-free. Today, I want to give a special shout out as well to the Patreon supporters. Thank you very much for your generosity. But for now, thanks for watching. Have an awesome day. Don't forget to smile, and I'll see you once again in the next one.